task number one for week number one is going to be trying to change your environment as much as possible. Now, to further illustrate my point, I am outside. It is not sunny. It is England. It is But yes, what is going on, guys? I hope you have a fantastic day. Today we are talking about suicide prevention, which I know all fun, yep, happy days, but it is an extremely serious matter. The male statistics, more so than the female statistics, are going through the absolute roof recently in terms of males committing suicide versus females committing suicide. I'm not poo-pooing anything at all. We're going to be obviously discussing both, but being a male myself, it's going to be a little bit more tailored towards gentlemen, purely because suicide rates by males to females are more than double, if I remember the statistic correctly. And so therefore, obviously being a male myself, having attempted suicide a couple of times myself, being unsuccessful is some of those ways that I should be able to help someone. Now, obviously, going along this series, there is going to be a lot of hard-hitting truths. There's going to be a lot of things that a lot of people don't want to hear, but there's also going to be a lot of things that I have been very reluctant to say, very reluctant to sort of reveal, because exposing yourself in such a can have a very negative view for a lot of people. Now, I know a lot of guys who are very much like you don't share everything about your story unless you need to share it, and I feel like it is necessary to share your story. If you're someone who has been from point A to point B and you've recovered and you've gotten better and you've stopped having those thoughts and you're starting to thrive in life rather than just survive, then I feel like it is your duty to actually help as many people as possible actually get to that same point, because I know so many people who have tried to overdose and tried to potentially kill themselves through one way or another because they don't know the life that they're given. Now, I would very strongly say that you aren't given the life that you're given. So you are given the life that you're given because of the choices that you make. That's the one. Again, some people aren't going to like that because they say, oh, my situation does this and my situation does that. And I would be like, no, I don't. I don't think it matters your situation. You see a lot of these self-made millionaires and billionaires, and they were at some point homeless. They were at some point on the street asking for food, or they were working at McDonald's, or Bugsy Malone, for prime example, drug dealer. All that stuff was involved in the very, very dark side of crime and gangs and stuff, and he is now multi-millionaire, pop star, rap star, whatever you want to call him. Now, I know that a lot of people are going to say, oh, well, I don't have the skills to do this, I can't do that because of this, and they're just simply excuses, right? But anyway, that is sort of a different, long-winded explanation of something else. This is specifically talking about the tools and techniques that I use to be able to start getting myself out of the pit of suicidal thoughts, depression, anxiety, and actually start thriving throughout my life. Now, throughout this series, we're going to be going through the trauma reform coaching course, which we teach. Now, we're going to be doing it for free as well, obviously not in as much detail as the course, but I have decided to do this for free and to give this information away for free to help as many people as I can, because I know that a lot of prospects that I've seen, a lot of clients that I've seen have all wanted the help, have all wanted to come through and have coaching. A lot of people in a financial situation are not able to do so, and so therefore I'm hoping that this series will be able to change people's lives forever. And if you can see the benefits of this course that you go through, that I teach you online for free, then imagine what we can do for you if you come and actually work with us and actually train with us one-to-one. Now, I personally have tried so many different things, so many bullshit techniques, so many bullshit diets and morning routines and nighttime routines that just simply don't work. Now, because there's so many different things out there, that you can do, that you can try, you can do this, you can do that, and it's just not going to work. because it's not tailored to you. So we're going to be discussing specifically how you can take something that you see online that you might think is a good idea and how you can tailor it to you to make it work. Okay, so 75 days hard. Okay, now for a lot of people on the outset, I realized when I started doing 75 days hard that actually, I basically do 75 days hard anyway. The only things I don't particularly do is read. So the only thing that's really going to be a struggle for me is reading. Now I added on a couple of other extra things for the 75 days hard in terms of cold showers, 8,000 steps a day, some extra things just to make it a little bit more of a challenge for me. Because I already work out for an hour and a half a day, I just had to split that into 2 45-minute workouts, and then taking a progress photo every day, which while I'm on a diet I do anyway, following a diet which I do because I'm trying to lose some weight for summer, which I'm doing anyway, these things. But that's because I've got a training history, I've got a training background, I've got goals in mind of where I want to be in 2 or 3 months' time. So therefore I'm putting the necessary steps and requirements in now to make sure that I am in the place that I want to be. Therefore 75 days hard isn't actually that bad. But people looking from the outside who don't train, who don't worry about their nutrition or their diet, and don't worry about these things on a daily basis because they're just not in that mindset, because you're a busy parent or you are trying to go through uni, or there's so many different things, like life just gets in the way. Simply put, life just gets in the way. So how can you do something like that can drastically change your life in 2.5 months and you go from nothing to doing something like that? Now, this was a big thing for me when I last overdosed myself, almost. Obviously, because I'm still here. The biggest thing for me at the time was changing my habits. Now, my habits obviously were go to work, come home, go out, get absolutely obliterated on drinking substances and those kinds of things, right? That was my habit, that was my lifestyle, that was sort of what I was doing. So I've said it before, I'll say it again, change in environment. Now, luckily I had the opportunity to go and live with my partner at the time. So I went and lived with her and her mum rather than live with me at my house. The main reason I did this, well, because I wanted to be with her more and I wanted to further the relationship. But subconsciously, and I've never admitted this to clients and stuff, but never really admitted it, that I needed to get out of my house because my house was the place where I saw that I went to do drugs, right? So when I was very young, 17, 18, I had to go and do drugs out and about, because at that point it was just sort of smoking weed and you're doing things, and like doing Mandy and stuff, which was very loud and very smelly and those different kinds of things. So like we would have to be out and about, and obviously if you've ever taken recreational MDMA, you like to walk around and stuff like that. So that's what we would do. We'd go climb houses and climb shit out at like 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning because we were fucking idiots, really. So that's what that part of my life consumed of, right? And then obviously things got subconsciously and consciously for me, and then they got just, in terms of because I was doing the drugs, it was ruining my home life and then ruining my relationships. And because of that cycle and effect, over the course of about 2 years, I just rinsed and repeat. I started doing more drugs, which made me worse, which then made me less financially stable because I was spending more money on more drugs. And then I hit a point where I just didn't want to do anything anymore, and I just wanted to basically leave, and I just wanted it all to be over. So I took an absolutely heroic dose of MDMA, which even when I say it to people, they're like, Holy Mary, Mother of God, what did you do? And I actually ended up, I can't remember what happened for a few days, but generally speaking, granted, that whole portion of my life is very hazy, but I went into that night. Now I know, stupidly again, a lot of people say suicide is very fair on the people around you and the people that you love and stuff, because at some point somebody's going to find your body. Now I went into this night knowing, or essentially hoping, that I wasn't going to come out the other side of it. So obviously at some point I was going to be really fucked up and fall off a building, or completely overdose or have a seizure or something like that, right? So that aspect. Now, selfish. A lot of people say suicide's very selfish because of that reason. Someone's going to find you, or someone's going to have to clean you up and stuff, which is pretty grim. But that was what I went into that night intending. Now, when obviously I woke up the next day, a lot of people, say, it's very hard, because I wasn't disappointed that I was alive, but at the same time, it was a little bit, because I was a bit like, well, now I've got to go back to my regular day and doing stuff. However, this is where, for me, my very strong spiritual journey started, in believing that there is, a higher power of some description. I'm not Christian. I don't believe in this. I don't believe in one thing or the other. I would like to believe that there is something after life, and there is something beyond this world that we're currently in, because this world can be really shit. Anyway, right, that morning stemmed me to do more, and I realised that I was here to do something a little bit more than what I'm doing. At that point, I didn't know about all my trauma and my abuse, and I didn't know about the life that I was going to be set on to be able to provide a service for people and help people. But I knew I was here to do something more. So I then decided to go on a little bit of a healing journey and try and recover from the drugs, and try and recover from doing those things, and stop seeing those people quite as much, and stop doing those drugs quite as much. The biggest thing for me was changing my environment, going from my house where I would associate doing drugs, because I would come home and do drugs, and then that was that. Or I would, especially over those 2 years, the beginning, I wasn't able to do drugs at my house because, again, it was smelly and I wanted to walk around. When we transitioned from MDMA to cocaine, it was very different. I was able to sit at home by myself and just do it by myself, and that's where it got really sort of dangerous for me, was sitting at home doing drugs by myself, because that is, I feel like that for me, that was the biggest pit, because there was no escaping it. I go to work, and then it got to the point where I was sort of doing it while I was at work and doing it while I was on the job and stuff, because they didn't see a problem with it. So I'd come home, I'd do drugs, and I'd be doing drugs wherever I wanted to do it. So as soon as I'd come home, I'd do more drugs, so I'd run out of drugs during the day. So there's that association, there's really, really, really negative association I had with that particular house, at that particular time, in that particular style of how I had everything arranged. So after the first suicidal attempt, I then decided, right, no, we're here, we're going to repair our relationship with our partner properly, we're going to cut these people off, and we are going to just focus on me, myself, and working. This went really well. I didn't stop smoking weed during this time. I smoked weed continuously for the past 7 years, apart from this year and last year. So it would be 8-9 years. So 9 years, wow, it's a long time. But it isn't 9 years, but 7 years consecutively, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22. Perfect, because I went travelling at 23, had my 24th birthday over there, had my 25th birthday here. Yeah, perfect, right. Yes, so I was still smoking weed during this time, but I had and actually even during this time, so this was I believe, if I remember correctly, 2-year period I lived with her. Maybe it might have been just a year, but I remember that I was smoking weed, and then she asked me to stop smoking weed, and so for her I did for 10 months, stop smoking weed completely. Because again, I wasn't in the position that I am now, and I wasn't ready to stop smoking weed at that time. So I had then had really, really bad anger issues, like I did when I was really, really young, which was why I was smoking weed in the fucking first place, right? But I didn't know that at the time. So unfortunately, a lot of my anger issues came out on the people that were closest to me and the people that I loved, and therefore that actually, by stopping drugs completely for a 10-month period, that made my relationship with my family a million times worse, made my relationship with my partner a million times worse, because everybody was like, oh yeah, just stop doing drugs and you'll be better. Actually, it was numbing the subconscious amount of stuff that was trying to come out of me. The reason that I wasn't able to process my own trauma was because I was dealing with their trauma, my partner and her mum's, because they were dealing with a lot of stuff that they would refuse to get sorted. And so every time that my partner's mum would get absolutely blackout, she would just start coming out with all of this stuff, and I was trying to process that and deal with that and protect her and protect my partner as much as I could, as much as I knew how, dealing with my partner's anxiety attacks and dealing with those things, because then I wasn't able to deal with my stuff, which is a very common thing for a lot of people. We always put other people first because we want them to thrive, but to be able to thrive in your own story, because you are the main character in your own story, you have to put yourself first. So that was hard, that was long, that was a long period, and obviously then I started smoking. I remember it was 420 of the next year, and I started smoking weed again because I went and saw some friends and we got really stoned on 420, and then it just straight back into it, smoking weed every day, because I felt so much better, I felt so much more peace and just calmer, and everybody agreed. I was more peaceful, I was calmer, just sitting down and smoke some weed, and I was fine. So that's what I did. Then And then I got to a point where I realized that I had to deal with my own trauma. Again, I didn't know it was trauma at this time specifically. I just knew that I had shit to deal with, and I couldn't deal with it being in that relationship, because I knew where that relationship was going. Was she wanted to have kids and get married and stay in this country and do that. I needed to leave this country. That was my priority. I specified that to her, and she was making moves in that direction, but it was coming up to the time where she was going to have to take the implant out. And I knew she didn't want a second one, and I knew that at that time in my life I was particularly reckless, and I would have ended up getting pregnant. She wouldn't have had an abortion, therefore we would have had to stay, and we would have had a kid, and I would have had a kid now. And my life would have been very, very different. I could see that that was coming, and so I said, I'm out. Go and find someone to have a kid with. I know that's what you want more than, you know, being with me and doing these things and, you know, seeing where my life's going to go. So that's cool, that's fine, that happens. I'm not stressing about that, right? So that's piece of story number one. We'll cap it there. Piece of story number one. Main takeaways from piece of story number one that I want you to go and implement and try. Please, obviously, message me, comment on the video what you think, and, you know, share this to someone who might need some support as well. Task number one for week number one is going to be trying to change your environment as much as possible. Now, to further illustrate my point, I am outside. It is not sunny. It is England. It is April. It is cold. Now, the reason I am outside is because when we're depressed, when we're ridden with anxiety and all these different things, we like to stay inside. Now, I know the inside is lovely and warm. Believe me, I've been there, I understand. It's lovely, it's warm, and it's where all the food is where your creature comforts are, right? But drastically changing your environment just a little bit by going outside. I'm not saying go outside for a walk. I'm saying sit outside, sit in the cold, okay? Now, this can further you then going into and progressing into having things like cold showers. Like I said at the beginning of the video, the 75 days hard. Baby steps. How do you do something like 75 hard? On me. The answer is baby steps. So you've got to work yourself into it. So rather than going and having cold showers, which is extremely hard for the get-go, start going outside. You can get very similar effects of exposing yourself to cold exposure, right, outside. If you could sit outside with a cup of tea and just chill for 20 minutes, right? UV rays come through the clouds. I know you don't get anywhere near as much, and I know it's harder, and, you know, blah, blah, right? Fresh air, hearing the birds, right? I know that not all of you are lucky enough to be in the forest like I am, and I know not all of you are lucky enough to have a garden like I do. But if you have a local park, have a walk down to your local park and have a sit in your local park. You know, get a thermos and just go and chill. And if you've got kids, again, go and take them to the park and sit and chill and just be with yourself. Allow your thoughts to come to the surface and allow you to just think about your day. Not only does this help you plan your day, help you organize your day, help you boost a little bit of motivation because you've done a hard thing. You've gotten up and you've gotten out of the house. And a lot of people don't like doing that, right? Kids, they don't like doing it. If they can sit at home and watch their TV and stuff and watch their iPads and all this kind of shit, then that's what they're going to do. But if you make them get up and get out, they will end up having a bit of a better day because they've exerted loads of energy being outside, right? So then they're much more calmer on the inside, right? That's also always my mum did with me, right? Take me outside, let me burn off loads of energy because I had ADHD and on the spectrum of all the things, and just let him run around, and he comes home and he's nuts, and then he's just like calm and he's tired. Same principle with you and your own body, right? If you, as soon as you wake up, if you get up and get outside, right, make a beeline for sunlight, then you are going to feel so much better, right? 20 minutes in the sun, even if it's like this, it's not nice, right? It's not like, oh my God, it's lovely sunshine. It's a bit rainy, it's a bit, you know, but get outside and I feel so much better, right? Getting outside, and I know speaking to you obviously helps a lot, but me getting outside and just being outside, yes, getting up, getting outside, just sitting outside with a cup of tea and chilling, amazing. So much better for you than sitting inside, I promise you, right? Now, I've specified in other videos, specified today, right, change your environment. Not everybody can change their environment. When I say change environment, I go somewhere else like I did. You leave my house, go to my partner's. Very lucky to be able to do something like that. If you cannot change your physical environment in terms of where you go, then change your internal environment, right? What do I mean by this? Redecorate. I know not everybody can afford to redecorate. So move things around, right? Spend the day, move things around so things are different. Yeah, so your environment is different and you associate different things with that environment. You can do different things. If you move your lounge around, if you move your bedroom around, right, no matter what it might be, do something like that to help change the way you look at things, rather than just look like, if my room back then, I had a sofa specifically laid out with another chair so that my friends, we could all sit together, and we had a coffee table in the middle, and the coffee table had a glass topper so we could all rack up on the glass table, right? That was that. First thing I did was get rid of the glass table, because that's, just looked at it and I was just like, drugs, get rid of that, right? Something as simple as washing your sheets and washing the stuff and getting new smells in the environment as well, because smell is such a massive thing with triggers and being able to actually, you know, recall something, right? So your five senses, what you see, taste, touch, hearing and eyesight, right? So if you can change your smells and change your environment and what it smells like, rather than associating it with like tobacco or those kinds of smells. All the drugs have their own very unique kind of smell anyway. So if you, and then obviously if you've been washing your sheets and your bedding and your clothes and stuff with a very particular type of washing, like laundry detergent and stuff, during the time that you are quite depressed and anxiety ridden and doing all those different things, then simply changing that smell can change everything massively. And then you'll associate that old smell with doing drugs and with doing those, you know, with the substance abuse or whatever. You're not, even if you aren't going through substance abuse, if you're depressed, you know, you'll associate that smell with in that time, and you want to move on from that time. Okay. So yeah, massive. Smells, massive. What you see, massive. If you can change your internal environment and move things around, huge, right? Because you associate that new living space with the new version of you and who you want to be, right? Massive. Now, the other thing, like I've said it a million times before, and I will keep saying it because it is super, super important. Now I've done it, I know how hard it is. I preach to our clients to do it. You've got to cut off the people that are going to keep dragging you down, right? It's as simple as that. If you've got friends who you know every time you see them you do drugs, or you don't have any healthy associations with those people other than the negative associations you've already got with them, they've got to go. It's an unnegotiable, they've got to go. There's a very, very, very famous phrase, show me your friends and I'll show you your future, right? Simple as that. It is better to be alone and thrive by yourself, because you will meet the right people. When you start thriving, you'll meet the right people that you need, rather than force yourself to be friends with these people that realistically aren't going to help further your goals in any way. Keep in the same position, because then no matter what you do, if you redo your room, if you buy new furniture, if you buy new laundry detergent, you change your smell, you change your environment, you move house, or if those people are still in your life dragging you back to the place that you once were, then you're never going to be in the place that you want to be. Okay, so that is task number one, because it's very practical, right? And I know from a personal experience, practical things work, right? I can sit here and I can bore you to death with information all day long on how your brain reacts to different stimulus and how your body then reacts to the brain hormones being secreted. We can talk about serotonin and we can talk about hormones and all those different things, and I could yap about it for hours. Most people don't know and most people don't care. They want a practical fix now, and that's what I've just given you. So that's task number one. Over the next week, before the next video comes out, I want you to sit down, I want you to think about all those different things. How can you change your smells, right? Can you hoover, can you get some shake and vac and hoover the floor differently if you haven't done that before? Can you throw away some old clothes and buy some new ones so you can associate that with a new time, right? Can you reorganize a room, you know, get the kids involved in moving stuff around? They'd love that, right? And then have a good tidy up, put some music on, feel good. Can you get outside every single day for a minimum of 20 minutes, right? Unless it's raining. I'll put that in because I don't go outside when it rains because it's sucky. But if it's not raining, I mean, like seriously, unless it's pooping it down. Yes, unless it's pooping it down, get outside. All right, there's no excuse like this. It's not very nice, but I'm outside, I'm moving, right? So yes, implement these things, try these different things, change your smell, change your internal environment, get outside for a week, see the improvements it can make. Tune in next week and we'll discuss some more things about how your brain reacts, and we will do a little bit more of a boring sit down talk, but it will still have practical things to take away. Please don't forget to like, share this video to anybody that you think it could help. Don't forget to comment your thoughts down below, share this to somebody who needs some support, and then like and follow us so that you can follow along this journey and help yourself. Take it easy, guys. Have a good day. I shall see you in the next one.